All right, guys, welcome. Happy hump day. We have a solid, was 9-game slate. Now it's an 8-game slate with a Miami-San Antonio game postponed. And I'm honestly pretty happy that it did get postponed. I know I saw a lot of people saying, like, no, they didn't want this game to be postponed. But, like, why would you want a slate where you have, like, 5 or 6 free squares, right? That's where it's like, you can't even go to these players. Or do they even have them in the player pool? But, like, every lineup would have looked, something like this, and, this, and this. Basically all these, it would have been like 4 or 5 people being like 70+% owned, right? Because it was very clearly you just wanted to stack Miami. So I'm actually pretty happy this game is postponed because I don't like when there's a ton of free squares in the slate. But yeah, guys, so this will be a Q&A live stream. As always, make sure to leave questions in the chat. I will be happy to answer them. I'll be live for 30 minutes. If you guys do enjoy these free live streams, just make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already as well. Would greatly appreciate that, guys, as we close in on 11,000 subscribers. But as far as news goes, again, the big piece of news was that Miami game is postponed. Not a ton. Like, this is a slate where there's not a lot up in the air, which is kind of nice, kind of refreshing, or we haven't had one of those slates in a while. Haywood Highsmith, I remember he actually played on an NBA team a couple years ago, and I thought he was also a made-up player. We had Davion Mitchell back. Reggie is cleared, but not going to be playing. Again, the Heat expected to play on Friday, so that's not really big. But we're waiting on Brogdon news. We're waiting on Smart news. That's really it. So, and then we just need to see starters for what teams. There's still a few shorthand teams like the Pistons, like the Hawks, to see what they're going to end up doing with the starting lineup. But all right, so yeah, enough of me talking. Let's answer some questions. So, Billy said, Ja, Mays, Brown, Little, Garza, Trey, Reddish, and Capella. Just make sure, again, that's going to be Mays and Brown, Sean D. Brown, right? Sean D. Brown Jr. Yeah, so, like, those, make sure those two guys start. If they do start, I think they make for solid values. They're not great point per minute guys, but Atlanta is super thin. So I have no issue with that. Just make sure those two guys end up starting. Kemba Bledsoe Conley, Reddish, or Jaren Jackson Jr. So just pick one of the 5 of that group. Good question. I will say it's either Conley or Bledsoe for me. McGee going to troll. I like McGee, guys. I think he's going to be a lot lower owned after he was let basically the entire DFS community down last slate. He got in severe foul trouble. He also just did not play well. Like, he only had 15 feint points in 22 minutes. That's very unlike JaVale McGee. So I think the ownership drops. The price went up. It's a little bit harder to prioritize him, but I think he's still a good play. Like, if we get 28 minutes from JaVale McGee against his Thunder front court, he could have a 50 bomb. And I will not be shocked. So, yeah, I mean, Boucher went off last slate, too. He went absolutely off. That was crazy. Thought we were going to have a big night last night when Jokic had 36. I did, too. And then that game was just, the Nuggets had like 20 second half points. And if you missed my YouTube video, I missed by 0.25. They also had 2 errors in the box scores. Should have had 2 extra Jokic rebounds. So I'm on extreme tilt mode right now. Jalen Smith over McGee. So, like, it's probably a little bit easier to get to Jalen Smith, and he's got the power forward eligibility, which is nice. Plus, you got there is a little bit of blowout risk. And, like, a guy like JaVale McGee, he's not going to play in the blowout. It's going to be Jalen Smith. So, like, if you think the Suns just wiped the floor with the Thunder on a back-to-back, then it might make a little bit more sense to go to a guy like Jalen Smith because he would play in the blowout. Yeah, for me, it's Jalen Smith over Campaign. Nance, Bagley, Anderson, Little, or McGee. Not taking position into account, it's going to be JaVale McGee there. Coach, what's up, man? Good to see you. Thoughts on Pritchard as Smart is out? I think he's a solid option. He's probably not going to play 45 minutes like he did last game. If you take a look at Boston, Pritchard started last game, played 45 minutes. But we do have Josh Richardson back. I haven't seen confirmation if he's for sure going to play. But we probably will get that before lock. So, like, if Jay Rich is in and Smart is out, like, Pritchard, I would think still starts, but we're probably not going to get 45 minutes. Like, maybe he gets low to mid-30s minutes, which would still make him a pretty good play because Pritchard, the last 2 weeks, he's been really playing well. Luka Garza tonight. Yeah, I like Luka Garza. I mean, he's a guy that I played basically every single slate in the summer league. I mean, he's productive when he's on the court. He's great on the offensive end, and he's really cheap. The only concern with Luka Garza is foul trouble. Right? He fouled out in 20 minutes. So if he can stay on the court, if Luka Garza can stay on the court and play mid to high 20s minutes, I think he's a great value. McGee or Morris straight up. Yeah, I mean, not taking position into account is going to be JaVale McGee for me. But factoring in position and the fact that what is the opportunity cost of going to, McGee at center, it might be Morris. But straight up, not factoring in position, I think it's McGee. Luke Kennard, thoughts? I think he's an interesting contrarian option. Still should play some decent minutes. He is scoring dependent, though, so the floor is low. Appreciate the videos, DK. I want to ask you which side you prefer. Hey, man, glad you like the videos. Dame and McGee or Ja plus Nance and Slow-Mo. I would go Ja and Slow-Mo there. But that's just because I'm pretty high in Ja today. Thoughts on LeBron? I think one of the safest bet-ups on the board. Should put goes to 40 minutes. He played at the center a lot last game, which is a pretty big boost to LeBron. Just going to boost up those rebound numbers. He's already a good rebounder, but just going to give him more opportunities. So I think LeBron is super safe. Any interest in Little, Cam Johnson? Little, yes. I think Little looked pretty good, even against the Jazz. Cam Johnson, not as much. I know Jay Crowder's out, and he probably plays some solid minutes, but there's going to be better values, I think, than I'm not saying Cam Johnson's awful, but he's just more of a secondary play for me. Yahoo pricing $10 Frank Jackson or $11 Ingles. Yeah, that's a good question. I'll say Frank Jackson there. Bagley, punt. If he starts, I think he's fine. He started last game, played 28 minutes, so if he starts again, yeah, I think I'm okay with it. Hey, DK, thanks for the live. Hey, man, thanks for coming in and checking out the stream and answering or asking questions. Appreciate you. Do you need to have Hawks players in your lineup? So, they're one of the more shorthanded teams for sure. So, could you get away with having no Hawks in your lineup on a site like this? Probably. But, they look like one of the more appealing teams on the slate, right? Because you have the three, regular starters and regular rotation players in Trey, Cam Reddish, and Capella all probably have to play big minutes. And then it's just all right, where are the other minutes going to go to, right? Everyone else is out. Ja, Ingles, Slow-Mo, Porzingis, Garza, LaMelo, McDaniels. I like it. Depends. What do you consider spend up? Is it 10K plus? Is that what we're considering a guy all the way at the top? So other than LeBron at 10K plus, probably would be Jaylen Brown for me. Yeah, so Atlanta, again, I need to see what they do with the starting lineup because they're thin, right? Cam Oliver signed a 10-day contract. He's most likely going to play the backup five here for the Hawks. They do have Weston Wundo. Weston Wundo is available as well. But I want to see Underdog tweet out how many guys they have available. Because I think it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think they're going to have 10 available players. You like any Utah point guards? Yeah, I mean, I think the Utah guards look good without Donovan Mitchell. A guy like Mike Conley, minutes probably don't go up. I think he still plays low 30s, 30 to 32 minutes, but the usage does. Clarkson's minutes go up. He goes from mid-20s to low 30s, and he's going to do a lot more on the offensive end as well. So I like both Utah guards. Plumlee versus McGee. For me, it's McGee. Joe Ingles is 4K. I mean, I think Joe Ingles looks good. Yeah, I think he starts and plays low 30s minutes, so I think he makes for a good value. Now, I don't want to play today because of Miami. Lots of good plays. Now, I don't want to play today because of Miami. Lots of good plays. See, I have the opposite reaction. There's very clear plays in the Miami game. So, I don't want a slate where you're going to have 4 or 5 of those Heat guys be all the chalk. I like a slate, when there's less clear options. I think there's more skill involved than a slate like that, or a slate where there's 4 or 5 free squares. That's no fun in tournaments. I mean, for cash games, whatever. Aaron Wiggins, love, best blender 4K under Garza. I think he's playable. My only issue with Aaron Wiggins is he has a low floor still. If you played Aaron Wiggins last night and you're monitoring his stuff in the first half, I think he had 0. I literally think he had 0 fantasy points in the first half. I could be wrong, but I was checking on it and he had nothing for a really long time. So he's fine. He's fine. But God, I don't trust his Thunder rotation. I really don't trust Aaron Wiggins. And if he does get any ownership, I'm fine going elsewhere. Do you like any Clippers? Yeah, I think the main guys look pretty good without Paul George. Reggie Jackson is not going to be available either. So, Bledsoe, Mann, Kennard, Morris all should play 30-plus minutes. Last game, they did not touch the court in the fourth quarter because of the blowout. But, this game against a shorthanded Boston team, you would think stays competitive. So, I think the main 4 guys there look pretty good. Guys, yeah, we're at 100 viewers, 20 likes. Just make sure if you do enjoy these live streams, hit the like button. Easiest way to support me. Appreciate it. Reddish, Bane, or Diallo? That's a good question. Guys like Reddish and Bane I'm fine with. They're going to play huge minutes. But, I don't know if Cam Reddish goes for, 33 real-life points, whatever he had last game. But because Atlanta's a little bit more shorthanded than Memphis, I'll say Cam Reddish. Right, Memphis, Bane's been playing really well, but they are less, they still have a lot of guys they can go to. Atlanta, outside of Trae Young, you're looking at the roster okay, who is going to score the ball? Porzingis, Brown, or LaMelo. Depends where you're playing. Cash or tournaments. Cash games, I think the answer is probably Brown. It's close, though. I think all 3 of those guys look good. GBP, Morant, Monk. John Morant, Malik Monk, Cam Johnson, LeBron, Garza, Brunson, Ingles, McGee. I see no issues with it. Malik Monk, what we got news that, was it Wayne Ellington that's now back, I think I saw? He was on the COVID list. I believe it was Wayne Ellington. Yeah, he's listed as available, so that's one more body in the rotation. So I'm not sure if we get 40 minutes again from Malik Monk. You also had THT foul trouble, but I still think Monk probably pushes for 30-ish minutes and makes him a pretty good value. Played so much better without Heat game, 100% agree. Yeah, that's just my take on it. I don't like when there's a slate where there's free squares. I'm going to play it if there is a slate like that, but I much prefer when there's not as many free squares. Reddish or Diallo, again, both teams are extremely shorthanded. I'll say Reddish. Fox, if it's 7,900 viable. As a contrarian option, yeah, he's really struggled this year, though. So, just as a contrarian play for ownership, because I think he'll be super low owned. As last we said, Ingles or Monk? That's a good question. I think the upside is a little bit higher on Monk. I think the safer play is Ingles. Just because the Lakers' rotation can go a ton of different ways. Malik Monk could play 18 minutes tonight, and I wouldn't be surprised. He had 4. I rostered him, LOL. Would you say Marcus Morris is a good play with his minutes? Yeah, he played 19 first-half minutes. So, again, Ty Lue trolled us. He said he's going to be on a minutes limit. I was very, very upset because I played that Showdown slate and I faded Marcus Morris, actually believing what the coach said, saying he'd be on a minutes limit. And then Marcus Morris played 19 first-half minutes. So he was on pace for 38 minutes if the game would have stayed competitive. Adams or McGee? It's McGee, and it's not close for me. The reason is I'm worried about Steven Adams' minutes if the Lakers start a small ball front court. I'm not sure he plays 25 to 30 minutes. I need to support Porzingis. Yeah, I think the price point scares some people off. I think he's a good tournament play. Any Garza today, projection ownership pretty high in him. Yeah, my only concern with him is foul trouble risk because the Pistons are super short-handed. He's a good point per minute guy. I think that's the way he fails. If you told me Luka Garza played 28 minutes tonight, I would say he's most likely going to be in the winning lineup. So the question comes down to, can he stay out of foul trouble? Is Holmes limited? Haven't seen anything. They just haven't been playing him big minutes because Damian Jones has been playing pretty well off the bench. Thoughts on Quentin Grimes? How many minutes did he play last game? Did play 31. He's getting consistent minutes, 4K. I think it's fine. I don't necessarily trust his rotation, though. Quickly, they kind of eased him back into it. So, I'm not sure it continues to play those big minutes, but we'll see. Best 2 value plays. Best value plays kind of hard for me to answer, but specific questions I'm happy to answer. But yeah, best value plays and more in-depth, that's Patreon stuff down below if you're interested in that, guys. Carmelo Anthony has been undeniable. Hot guessing tonight is the pop game. Yeah, he's been shooting really well. The price has come up a little bit. I think he's a fine option, but not a guy I'm really excited to jam in. What price range for centers? Top end or cheap end? Do you like Lance if he starts? Lance Stevenson? Yeah, I would like Lance Stevenson if he starts, but I don't think he starts. We'll see. I think it's going to be Chauncey Brown and Skylar May starting with Trae Young and Reddish and Capella. But we'll see. Lots on Powell and Little. Powell a little bit too pricey for me. He's at almost 7K or is 7K, I think. He's 7K going up against Utah. Pretty score independent. Damian Lillard playing. Have a hard time going there. Now Nas Little on the other hand looks better. 5K, had a great game last game. Probably an outlier. I don't expect 48 again from him, but he's a guy in a competitive game. he might push for close to 40 minutes. Right? This Blazers team is still pretty shorthanded, right? You look at them, you look at their front court, they don't have many options. So, like, Dame, Powell, Nance, Little are going to play huge minutes. They're going to play huge minutes. Tony Snell started, but you're probably going to get some decent minutes from Simons off the bench. But just look at, like, CJ Ellaby, McGriff, Cumberland. Like, they just don't have many guys they can go to. So, like, I'm okay targeting some of these mid to cheap end Portland guys because they're just going to play huge minutes, even in a tougher spot. Thoughts on the Pistons guys tonight? I like them. They're shorthanded. Monitor the starting lineup, but the main guys like Bay, Jackson, Diallo all probably play close to 40 minutes. If Garza stays out of foul trouble, I think he pushes for 30. Porzingis, but I like both. Is Capella going to be playing sub 30 minutes again with no Hawks bigs available? I think he plays more. I do. I would get, like, someone was asking who I think is the backup 5. Probably Cam Oliver. Because, again, Hamilton, I hate how draft, like, can they remove the players who are not, like, active on the roster? That would be helpful. I don't like how they just, like, include those guys. But I guess they could go Wesson Wundo or Cam Oliver is my guess of to who they run as a backup 5. Like, Cam Oliver is a little bit undersized, but he does play more of, like, that 4. So, like, Oliver or Nwundo, I think, play the backup 5. But I think Capella plays more than what he got last game, which was he kind of split the time with Gorgie Jang. I don't really think they have that option here. Like, I think he's playing mid-30s minutes against a big Chicago front court. Let's see. Favorite Thunder value, Kenrich Williams. Nance, Man, or Dort? Nance. Appreciate that, Coach. Yeah. Dwight Powell or Damian Jones? It's tough because the opportunity cost is center, but I'll say Dwight Powell. Couldn't trust Shenshi with his rotation with the other team. He can't coach. Even can't trust the Kings, lol. Yeah. Ja or LaMelo? Ja for the discount, but both look good. How do you feel about Josh Green with no Brandon Knight? Probably not for me. They did sign Isaiah Thomas, who I think is going to be available for this game. If you want to take a dart on Josh Green, he can see a small forward eligibility, sure. But, like, right now, I don't trust the Dallas rotation. They do have also Reggie Bullock coming back, so that's another guy that can probably play mid-20s minutes. So, like, I don't think I want to target, like, those G Leaguers, end-of-the-bench guys for Dallas right now. There's just more teams shorthanded that I'd rather look to, right? Because, like, Porzingis, Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith, all going to play big minutes. You're going to see probably low to mid-20s from Powell. Reggie Bullock should get, mid-20s minutes or so. Frank Ntilikina probably still plays 20-ish. So, like, these guys, right, I don't know if I want to roll the dice there. Any interest in Kobe? A little bit. I think he'll be low owned. He's been struggling, but he should start. Last game, if you played him, you probably were pretty tilted. He got in massive foul trouble. Probably lost a good 7-8 minutes there. Like, the previous game, he played 33 minutes. So, like, I think he's an interesting contrarian value option. The only issue is, like, the usage is way down on him. He's not handling the ball a ton. So he's kind of deferring offensively. That's the issue. But last year, Kobe White still has upside. It's still in him, but, like, it's hard for me to feel, like, really good about him with the way he's been playing. DeRozan and Porzingis is kind of worth playing as a GPP play. Yeah, he really struggled last game, but he still played, like, low 30s minutes, so he can still get it done at that time. But definitely a tournament only option for me. Little or Marcus Morris? What is the website to determine current NBA? What is a good website to determine current NBA roster? That's a good question. NBA.com? I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. Garza and Ingles or JaVale and Walton? Garza and Ingles for me. Do you think I'm looking at Cam Johnson type for Suns? What do you think of his price? I think he's fine. He's fine. No Jay Crowder. If the game stays competitive, he's probably playing 30 minutes. If the game blows out, maybe a little bit less. He played 36 minutes last game. Like, he's been playing pretty well for this team, so I think he's a fair play. I don't think he plays in the blowout, though. That's the only thing. Like, a guy like Jalen Smith will play in the blowout. A guy like Cam Johnson, I don't think plays in the blowout. Right? If you look at this roster, like Booker, Chris Paul, McGee, definitely not playing the blowout. Mikal Bridges, definitely not playing the blowout. I don't think Cam Johnson plays in the blowout either. I think, like, Jalen Smith, Alfred Payton, Landry Shamet, Hutchinson, Wayne, like, these, like, end of the bench guys are going to play in the blowout. I don't think Cam Johnson plays in the blowout. So that's the only risk there is potential that he only plays 3/4. I think LaMelo looks good. He was on pace for a big game last game. The game blew out. I think he plays low to mid 30s minutes. Double center strategy, cash. I think that's fine. Yeah, Mays or Walton Jr. If both start, a small lean to Walton Jr. because he would start at the point guard, and point guards just have a little bit of a higher floor. Yo, DK, we ended up having the same lineup last night. How does this look? Man, so did you end up cashing or no? I mean, I cashed pretty easily in low stakes. In the high stakes, and I missed by 0.25. How does this look for tonight? Let's see. GBP, Monk, Bane, Morris, LBJ, Garza, Morant, Anderson, McGee. I think it looks pretty good. I do think the ownership drops into a guy like JaVale McGee after what happened last game. But again, like you can just go but look back. Like last week, he was playing 15 minutes going for 33 fantasy points. So like if we get like 25 to 28 minutes from JaVale McGee tonight, he could go for like 40 plus fantasy points. And I do think the ownership will be lower. Brunson, Slow-Mo, Booker, Ingles. Good question. It's going to be Brunson, Slow-Mo for me just because I'm not convinced that the Thunder can keep the game competitive. In a back-to-back, it's like a 15-point spread. Get ready for Pacers news. What's going on with the Pacers? Oh, like Brogdon news, you mean? Jalen Smith doesn't scare you for McGee minutes. They did play a little bit alongside each other. But yeah, McGee got in foul trouble last game. So like, I think if the game stays close, we get 25 to 28 minutes from McGee. The positive, though, is, again, they did play a couple minutes alongside each other. So Jalen Smith is a guy that I would have a lot more interest in if you think the game blows out, which I think it's a pretty good chance it does. Brogdon's out. Okay, so Karis LeVert, I think, will handle more of the ball handling. I think he's a viable option. Kyle Anderson-Love, if he starts, yeah. I'm guessing he starts no Conchar. I don't really know who else they would go to. Memphis. Right, so, and he's a guy that can do it in a lot of different ways. Like, Ja's going to start, Adams is going to start, Bane's going to start, Triple J's going to start. Well, who's going to be that fifth start? Milton's out, Conchar's out. Like, I don't think they start Brandon Clark. Like, he plays the 4 or 5. They're not going to start a point guard lineup, Tyus Jones. I'm guessing Slow-Mo starts here. I'm pretty sure he's going to start. Kemba or Halliburton for cash? To be honest, I wouldn't play either in cash games. Conley or Bledsoe? Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's almost a toss-up for me. Yeah, I think that one's basically 50-50. I like both. I think Bledsoe probably plays a little bit more if the game stays competitive. I think he plays mid-30s. I think Conley plays 30 to 32. 5,300 at utility. Let's see. 5,300 and utility spot. 53. I'll say Frank Jackson. Oh, well, hey, you have McGee at 5'1". I'll say JaVale McGee. Thoughts on Larry Nance? I like him. I think the ownership will be pretty low, but he's going to play close to 40 minutes. And, again, they have no other bigs. Like, you look at Portland, they really don't. No Nurkic, no Covington, no Zeller, no Watford. Watford, I believe, got the backup 5 run last game. Maybe he didn't. Was it? Hold on. Or was it Greg Brown? I think Greg Brown actually had the backup. But either way, like, they don't have many guys that can play the 5. This is a big Utah team. Nance and Little both might push for 40 minutes. Ja or Ball? Small lean to Ja for the discount. I like both, though. Nance, Cam Johnson, Little, or Anderson. Man, I think all those guys look pretty good. I'll say Slow-Mo though right now, assuming he starts. I held on to end up cashing for 9, all the loss to missing in the $40 single entry. Dang, yeah, okay. Scored through 80 last night, barely doubled up. I mean, yeah, it was a super high scoring slate. Like so many guys went off. A lot of the chalk went off. Rubio chalk went off. The Butler, LeBron all went off. Like, yeah, it was a high scoring one. Morant, Clarkson, Brown, Bay, McGee, LeVert. Radish Garza, thoughts? I think it's a decent contrarian lineup. I don't think a lot of people go to LeVert. Sadiq Bey, I also don't think he gets a ton of ownership, even though he'll play probably close to 40 minutes. Shea or LeVert? For me now, it's going to be LeVert. But that's pretty close. I think both are good GPP plays, but yeah, I think it's a small lean to LeVert for the matchup. 60 to 100 for shooting guard. Let's take a look. 68. I'm going to say Rozier, but like Reddish looks solid, Bane looks solid, Diallo looks solid. I'm going to say Rozier, though. Halliburton Love, as a contrarian option, I think he's fine. He's played really well of late. Has still got it done last couple games with De'Aaron Fox in the lineup. Like, that's pretty significant. So for a GBP play, yeah, but doesn't stand out as price. LeVert or Jalen? Jalen for cash for sure there. You like Duarte? I mean, price doesn't really stand out to me. He's what, like 5K, right? 5'3". I mean, he probably plays low to mid 30s minutes, but yeah, the price The price doesn't stand out. It is nice he has shooting guard, small forward eligibility. Guys, again, if you're just coming in, make sure just to hit that like button. Really does help me out. We're at 130 concurrent viewers. Thank you, guys. 50 likes. Appreciate all of you. Slow-mo, Nance, or Little. Again, it's going to be slow-mo for me, assuming he does start, but I think all three look good. Thoughts on this lineup: Ja, Frank Jackson, Little, LeBron, Garza, Clarkson, Cam Johnson, McGee. I think it looks good. Top value play for the slate. Depends what price range, or depends what position. Walton, Royce, Kenrich, or Wiggins. Walton, Royce, Kenrich, or Wiggins. If Walton starts a point, I'll say Walton. All right, let's see. Do we have any other news? Kiefer Skies, whatever that is, will make his debut. Lamb in the health and safety protocols. Not big news there. Okay, well, they originally ruled out Reggie Jackson. Now he's doubtful, so he got upgraded to doubtful. Because he was out, and now he's doubtful. So keep an eye on this one. Right, that's actually somewhat significant. If Reggie Jackson somehow ends up playing, I don't really want to play Bledsoe. I don't really want to play Marcus Morris. Right, so like, make sure Reggie Jackson's out if you're going to those Clippers, guys. Make sure he's out. Luka Garza, Isaiah Roby, Garza. I'm pretty sure I saw news that Favors is back, correct? Yeah, Favors is back. So, like, now, did they rule out Mike Muscala? Because sometimes they'll just sit one of these guys. Okay, he might be rested. Like, they usually rest, like, one of Favors or Muscala. But, yeah, with Favors back, that definitely hurts Roby. Romeo Langford, I'll pass on him. Cam Johnson or Slow-mo. Westbrook, Levert, Brunson, Little, Porzingis, Slow-mo, Turner, Clarkson. Yeah. Does Bane look good? I think he's solid. He's played really well. He's probably going to play big minutes. It's a good matchup. The only downside is Memphis is still relatively healthy compared to some other teams. Monk or Ingles. So, again, I think the upside play there is Monk. I think the safer option is Ingles. I'm more confident that Joe Ingles in his minutes. Like, I'm almost positive he's going to play 30 to 32 minutes. Whereas Malik Monk, with Wayne Ellington back now, if he struggles, is there a chance he only plays like 15 minutes? It's possible. But I think the upside, if Monk gets it going, as we've seen the last couple games, is a little bit higher on him. Oliver and the Hawks' thoughts. If he starts, I think he's a good option. He actually is a decent point per minute guy, Cam Oliver. He might be playing the backup five for Atlanta, too. So I'm intrigued by him. Luka Garza or Walton Garza. What's good? Reddish or Bane? Reddish, but it's pretty close. Ja or LaMelo? Ja for the price. Nance, Morris, or Slow-mo? Slow-mo, assuming he starts. Dare you to hop in the Thunderdome tonight? I will not be hopping in the Thunderdome. No, I know there's the Millie Maker, though. There is a Millie Maker tonight that I don't think I could stomach entering it. It would just be too stressful. But I'm pretty sure it's like a $2,000 entry. And let's see. Where is this? Did it already fill? Am I just crazy? I'm pretty sure there's a Millie Maker tonight. Maybe it already filled. But I thought it was like a $2,000 entry, and it was something like 400 entries and $1 million up top. But it might have filled, because I don't see it in the contest lobby. But, yeah, Thunderdome is a no-go for me. $65 likes. Yeah, man, we're at 55. Appreciate you guys. And interesting, Kobe White, a little bit as a contrarian value play. He's really struggled, though, of late. Chris Paul, Brunson tonight. Brunson. McDaniels, Cam Johnson, or Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson for me. Clarkson or Conley. So I think the safer play is Conley. I think the upside play there is Clarkson. So cash game's Conley, GBP's Clarkson. Clarkson, I think, has a higher ceiling, lower floor, though. I feel like Gobert could smash Portland. I agree, but like his price is like $10K. So I just don't think I can stomach paying $10K for Rudy Gobert. I agree, like he should be able to feast against the front court, but like, God, I just don't think I can pay that price for him. Dawson Pritchard, if there's no Marcus Smart, I think he's a decent option. I don't think he plays 45 minutes like last game, though, because we do have Josh Richardson most likely available. Mason, Reddish, or Garza, Bledsoe? That's a good question. I'll say Garza, Bledsoe under the assumption that Reggie Jackson does not play. 2,500, is that what it was, the Millie Maker? Okay. Favorite Hawks value? Depends on the starting lineup for me. So, like, Whoever starts alongside Trey, Reddish, and Capella is probably where I'm looking to. Slow-mo or McGee. Small lean to McGee, but I like both. You like Kenrich. He's my favorite Thunder value. I feel the best about him. I think he plays low to mid-20s minutes. I think he played 28 last game, even coming out the bench. He's just a guy that can contribute in a lot of different ways. So Kenrich is, he's my favorite Thunder value. Thoughts on Levine? The Chicago guys literally all went off last game. Every single one of them. So I think they're good tournament plays. They're never guys you can go to really in cash unless the price is like way down. Like, I played Levine a couple times when he was 8K and he busted, like typical. But now he's up to almost like 10K. So like Levine, DeRozan, Vooch, I think are all in play. We saw what they did last game. The Hawks, are depleted. No defense really being played. So the main three Chicago guys I think are all good tournament plays. McGee over Adams for me. I'm worried about Steven Adams in minutes if the Lakers start small like they did last game. For real, I thought you said Kobe Bryant left. Thoughts on Adams versus Lakers? I'm worried about his minutes. Last game, LeBron started the 5. Memphis has shown that if teams go small, they won't close to Steven Adams. So I'm a little bit worried about his minutes. Brogdon out, yep. So I think LeVert's a viable GBP play. Thoughts on Whiteside? On a normal slate where there's not a lot of value, I always think he's a good tournament play. On a slate like this, it's really hard for me to prioritize him. When you have, for example, here's just one example. Luka Garza is going to start, and if he stays out of foul trouble, going to play close to 30 minutes. I have a really hard time playing a guy like Whiteside over Garza. Would you play both Conley and Clarkson? Yeah, I think you can. Carmelo, little for me. Rubio out for the season. Really? Dang, that's tough. That's really tough for the Cavs. They've been playing well. And Rubio's just having a bounce back year. He's been going off. So, dang, that really sucks. Do you like Plumlee? He probably plays 25 plus minutes against a big Pacers front court. So I think he's a decent value play. He flashes upside the last game. He can have those games. Thoughts on Bogdan? Bojan? Do you mean Bojan? Because Bogdan's out, right? So do you mean the Utah Bogdanovic, Bojan Bogdanovic? His role doesn't necessarily change with Mitchell out. He's still going to play around 30 minutes and be score independent. So he's never someone that I'm like, he's not the Utah guy I look to when Mitchell's out, right? It's the guards, it's Ingles. Those are the two guys, or those are the guys that really get the bump. I have a hard time playing Garza. You have a hard time. Then you don't have to play Garza. You don't have to. I'm not saying you have to play Luka Garza. I'm just saying if he stays out of foul trouble, he probably pushes for 30 minutes. And he's shown what he can do when he's on the court. He's very productive. Again, 20 minutes, fouled out. So, you don't have to play him. If you fade him, you're hoping for the foul trouble, right? Because I don't think he's just going to play 15 minutes in this game if he's not in foul trouble. I think Luka Garza's pushing for 25 plus minutes. Turner, Sabonis, but I don't love either on the slate. Yeah, Utah Bogdanovic is just fine, right? His role doesn't necessarily change. Clarkson, Bane, Reddish, Diallo, or Oubre. I'm gonna say Clarkson of that group. Do you like McGee? I do. I think the ownership drops after what he did last game. He got in foul trouble. He had a floor game. Great matchup. If the game stays competitive, I think we get 25-ish minutes from him. Duarte, secondary play. Yeah, kind of secondary play for me. If you land on him, it's fine. It's nice he has the shooting guard, small forward eligibility, but does not really stand out to me at this price. Reddish or Bane, it's smallest of leans to Reddish because Atlanta's more shorthanded than Memphis. So small lean to Reddish there. Thoughts on LeBron and Russ tonight? Russ is a little expensive. LeBron, I'm fine paying that price for him. I think he's very, very safe. If you have enough value that you feel good about, then just jamming on LeBron makes sense because he's going to play close to 40 minutes. Yeah, I know. That sucks. That really sucks. I do like Ricky Rubio. And he's been having a great year. Yeah, all the way to the top against LeBron. Leave one out, Moore, Slow-Mo, Nance, Bey, Sadiq Bey. Brogdon out, yep. Only concern is Garza versus Knicks. Mitch Robinson, he fouled out last game. Yeah, that is a concern, right? Mitch Robinson, solid defender. Garza, foul trouble risk. So totally fine if you want to fade Garza. But I think if you do fade him, you're probably hoping he gets in foul trouble. Because if he stays out of foul trouble and he plays 25 to 28 minutes at almost min price, he's probably going to have a pretty good game. How do you feel about Rozier? I kind of like Rozier. I think he's going overlooked in that mid-range. Good tournament play. He has 40-plus fantasy point upside, so I like Rozier. I think a lot of people get to LaMelo. So like one way to get away from that ownership is just go to Rozier. Night foul out against the Knicks too. Yeah, I mean, there's foul trouble risk with Luka Garza. There is. Oh, wow, 35-35. All right, I stay on for 5 extra minutes, guys, but any other last-minute questions, throw them in here. Otherwise, I will hop out on that. Thoughts on going Porzingis, Morant, Trey? I'm not going to say no. I think Trey will be pretty low at that price, but he's going to have to do everything for Atlanta. Porzingis, I think the price point scares people off. Did you cover Portland? Sorry, I came in late. Yeah, Portland's a team that's shorthanded. I think, guys like Little, Nance, I think those guys push for 40 minutes. Both look pretty good. Al Horford, secondary play for me. I think he plays low 30s minutes. Definitely does get a bump without Tatum, without Schroeder. So he's kind of just one I'm fine with, but not like a super exciting play for me. All right, guys. Well, I will call it on that. Really appreciate you guys coming to check out the live stream. Let's hope for some big winners tonight. Let's hope for no tilts. And good luck tonight, guys. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow.